and welcome to the first ever episode of the 9-Minute Design Show with me, Craig Burgess. I'm so excited about doing this. I've wanted to do a YouTube series about design and stuff like that for such a long time, and I've done a podcast for ages as well about design, but this is the granddaddy. This is the one I've wanted to do for ages, but I've just never really gotten around to it. And today, in the launch episode, I have got such a juicy subject. In fact, I've called this Wednesday edition of this episode, Should the Olympics be making cultural statements? And this episode, as I've just spoiled it there already, is about the Olympics. We're here to discuss the new brand by Royalties Eco-Branding. It's a bit of a famous one, and all the press was released yesterday, and everybody's been in a bit of a pickle about it on Twitter today. The brand is none other than the Paris Olympics 2024 brand. It's just been launched. It's only the logo that's been launched so far, and if you're watching the enhanced YouTube version of this podcast, you'll be seeing the launch video of it on your screen right now, and you'll be seeing the new logo and the new Paris brand and seeing what it looks like. And just as a side note, does it really get any bigger than designing the Olympics as a designer? Isn't that just the dream job for every single designer? I think it probably is. So I first came across this logo today when I was looking through Twitter. I saw a post about it on Creative Review. They said, what do you think about the newly unveiled Paris 2024 logo? I didn't even know it had been released. I've heard nothing about this logo. I don't know if that says more about me or more about them, and I don't know if people knew this were coming, but I didn't. I didn't know this new logo was coming. And obviously, on the Creative Review tweet, there is plenty of tweets on there about the new brand and what it is, and the kind of opinions about it. There's a picture of Hayley from Coronation Street on there, on the logo, and then there's a tweet on there as well that struck me about Lance Wyman, who we're going to get into in a little bit. So virtuously woke, collective decision or collective incompetence. I'm reading some of the tweets out here, by the way. Oh wow, I didn't see that coming. The Olympic administration is nonsense, a link to a Friends logo, and someone put sexist crap as well. So yeah, there's a lot of mixed opinions about the logo out there. And the BBC said the Olympic flame or dating ad, Paris 2024 logo divides opinion, and there's one thing about this logo, it is dividing opinions massively already. We've seen this before in the past, but there's a lot of opinions divided about it, and seeing as though the guy on Twitter mentioned Lance Wyman and his Mexico 68 identity, I think we'll have to talk about that for a little bit first as well. Lance Wyman's Mexico 68 identity for the Olympics is probably one of the greatest ever brands, not just Olympic brands, but one of the greatest ever brands that's ever been released. It's one of my personal favourite brands, and that's really saying something because this was 1968. This is over 40 years ago now. And this brand and this logo still looks as fresh as it did as the day that it came out. And I think you could probably change the 68 on the end of it and stick it into the next Olympics and it still look good now. One of the greatest things about Lance Wyman's work in the Olympics in the 68, I think, is that it just looks so fresh and so new. Even now, it's so timeless. And every time you look at it, you're seeing something else. It feels inspiring. It looks different. It's everything that an Olympic brand should be, I think. This is what the Olympics is done when it's done right. That's what it should look like every single time when you do the Olympics. Remember, though, at the minute with the whole Paris 2024 brand, we're only seeing a logo. We haven't seen anything else. The backlash is expected. This happens every single time. It probably happened with Lance Wyman's logo as well. And we've seen this before. We saw this with the London 2012 logo. Wolf Olins' branding work for Olympics 2012 was widely reviled when it was first revealed and announced, and I think Wolf Olins' branding work for Olympics 2012 was widely reviled when it was first revealed and announced, and I think rightly so as well. It looked incredibly ugly and very different and very unexpected and not inspiring either. But it was widely mocked by designers, it was widely mocked by the public, and I think it turned out okay in the end. The complete brand that Wolf Olins put together for the Olympics, I actually think was quite good. It was well considered, it looked great when you saw it all around the Olympic Village and everything, and I think they did a good job. So there's still time to turn this around yet, but today we're just talking specifically about the logo and some of the backlash that we've already seen. I think we need to return to this though. We need to return to the Paris 2024 logo. when I read a brand news review of it today, and there's one thing that they said in there, it's a bold choice. It's definitely a bold choice. There's no getting away from that. It's an overtly feminine logo, but that's just as bold as it being an overtly masculine logo. That in and of itself is not really a surprise and not unexpected, but it being so overtly feminine is a very bold move, and something we'll get into in a little while. I think it's got some nice touches as a logo, as a mark. I think it's great. I think the dual flame and the female face thing is a really cool idea. I just don't think it's right for the Olympics. And I do actually really love the typography, and I can't wait to see what this looks like on everything else, all the signage and stuff like that. It feels very French, the typography, as it probably should do, seeing as though it's in France and it's in Paris. But it doesn't really, for me, the crux of all this, the crux of the new brand, the crux of the 2024 logo, it doesn't evoke the right feelings for the Olympics. The Olympics should feel inspiring, they should feel different, they should feel heroic, they should feel world-changing, they should feel eventful. It's the damn Olympics. Those are the words that should really be associated with the Olympics. And I'm not really sure when I'm looking at a logo for the Olympics, I should be thinking about swiping right. Obviously, if you've not gone to look to the logo yet, the 2024 logo, you need to go look at it, because the logo is a flame, and it's been drawing a lot of comparisons to a very popular dating app, which is Tinder, because it kind of really does look like Tinder's logo, and I think that's a real major stumbling block for the logo, and something that someone should have spotted much earlier on. It's going to cause them problems, especially for the general public, because everybody has an opinion on a logo now, whether they're trained in it or not, whether they're given informed and rational thinking like me, or they're just kind of irrational about it. Everybody has got an opinion. And because of that, people are going to look at the logo, they're going to make comparisons to Tinder, and they're going to say it looks like a dating app logo, as many people have already been saying. And I don't think it's unjustified to be saying things like that. It does look a lot like the Tinder logo, and that's something they should have spotted earlier and they should have fixed, because it's not a good comparison. I don't think I should be looking at an Olympics logo and thinking about Tinder, and I don't think I should be looking at the Olympics logo and thinking about a woman. I think I'd be thinking the same as well if it was a man. I'd be thinking the same as well if it was just a swimmer, or if it was just a gymnast or something like that. One of those things, any of those things, they're too close for the Olympics logo. It needs to generate a feeling of inclusivity of all kinds of different things, but it needs to be more general than just a female. That's the thing that really bugs me about it. But the fact that it looks like a flame isn't the thing that really bugs me about it. It's what you see when you see the flame and what you really think. I shouldn't be looking at an Olympics logo and thinking that it looks like Tinder. I shouldn't ever be looking at any Olympics logo, no matter how bad it is, and be thinking of a dating app. That is not the right feelings that should be being evoked when I look at the logo. I know that's really basic, but that's something that they should have sorted out with this logo, and they should have spotted that way earlier on to make sure you didn't get those kind of feelings. Although we have been here before, we've seen Olympics logos in the past that looked like something that they shouldn't have done. Obviously, the really famous one is London 2012, where some people, in fact a lot of people, said that it looked like Lisa Simpson was doing a rather rude thing to Bart Simpson. Do you remember that? I definitely remember that. But just to finish, one of the most important things about this, I think, and this is what struck me when I first saw this tweet. On the creative review tweet, there's obviously always negative comments, and there was one near the bottom by someone called Noel Douglas, and he said 2 words. He said sexist crap. It really struck me when I saw that, because it isn't sexist. Obviously the logo isn't sexist. It's overtly feminine, and that's a choice, but it doesn't make it sexist. It's not saying that males are excluded in any way, just as it's not saying it's only females. But it's a good point. Or rather, no, it's not a good point, but there's a point under it that is important that we need to mention. But before we get to the sexist thing, we need to talk about the feminine vibe of the logo and why it is feminine, because it is important. In the press release for the branding, for the logo of the branding, they said this: With its feminine traits, the Paris 2024 emblem pays tribute to a woman who is a French national symbol known all around the world. She embodies the revolutionary spirit that infuses the Paris Olympic and Paralympic Games. She encapsulates the desire to bring the competitions out of the stadium and into the heart of the city. A familiar figure who is everywhere in the everyday lives of French people, she is also a reminder that the games will be the games for everybody, games that will belong to the people. Her face is also a homage to female athletes and a nod to history, as it was in 1900s at the Olympic Games in Paris that women were first allowed to compete. Wow, that's a lot of things underneath that logo. There's a lot of important things being said there. But by introducing the feminine touch to the logo, by introducing the mouth, by doing the whole hair thing, by making the logo obviously a woman, they've turned the Olympics into a statement. Some may say it's a political or a cultural or historical or whatever kind of a statement, but it's a statement nonetheless. And they're claiming a position on the Olympics when they're making that statement. I don't think the Olympics is ever that right place to be making that statement. I don't think the Olympics is ever or should ever be making a statement like that. I don't think the logo of the Olympics is the place to be making political, historical, or any other kind of statement. The Olympics is meant to be inspiring, it's meant to be inclusive for everybody. The logo isn't sexist, regardless what Noel Douglas says in his stupid opinions on Twitter, but there's a point underneath that. The logo is making a statement that is going to get some people's backs up, potentially 50% of the population, or it's definitely going to get people's backs up of people who aren't as well versed in this kind of thing. They're not going to go away and read the reasons for a woman being the logo of the Paris 2024. They're not going to go away and read all the text and go, oh, why is that a woman? And carefully inquire and read about the history of Paris and why this has happened and why in 1900s we finally let women be in the Olympics. They're not going to read any of that. They're going to look at it, be revulsed, and say something like Noel Douglas said, sexist crap. It should be inspiring, an Olympics logo. It should be heroic, and most importantly, it should be inclusive. And I'm not sure the Olympics is ever the right place to make a statement so bold as this. And I think really that's the issue with the Paris 2024 logo, and I don't think that can be fixed with a nice brand. It's just the underlying statement that the logo is making. So that was the first ever episode of the 9-Minute Design Show. I've been Craig Burgess, and thank you so much for watching or listening, whichever one you were doing. I've run over a little bit. It's meant to be 9 minutes. It's turned into the 9-ish minute design show, but we had a really juicy topic to go into for the first ever episode there. Did you agree with me? Did you disagree with me? Do you think the logo is making the perfectly correct statement that it should be for the times we live in? I really want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Tweet me at Craig Burgess or email me at craig@getdoingthings.com. I'll be back on Friday with another episode about something else that I haven't decided on yet, and I'll see you then.